Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Misha. Thank you guys for joining me yet again for another review. We are back with Family or Fiance Season 2, Episode 15, Tarra and McCorry. Child, this was a mess all the way up and through. I'm sorry, y'all, if I sometimes skip Family or Fiance because it's just one of those shows where sometimes after Love and Marriage Huntsville goes off, I'm like, okay, I need to decompress with all the fusserization of it all. So it's not that I'm skipping the episodes, but sometimes I just have to take a step back and then get into it as I get into it. If you are new here, then welcome. I give lighthearted reviews with a little bit of laughter and a little bit of shade and a whole lot of detail. If you are back for a second or third time, then welcome back. Please do not hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you get anything out of the content. Now let's get into it if we're gonna get into it. Tarra and McCorry met at a gas station and he pulled up next to her and thought she was cute and hopped in her car. Yes, folks, you heard that right. She was at the gas station. Skirt, let me get a pack of gum. About to go out, get it popping. And he hops in her unlocked car. Okay. Oh, child, he would have been met with mace. Do y'all hear me? I would have lit his face afire. This is why I keep my door locked at all times. Child, she must be a wild girl because I would have screamed bloody murder. Child, they would have been calling 911, the SWAT team, the FBI, the CIA, ninjas, everybody. And he would have been DOA. Because don't you hop in my car. Moving forward. She said they argue a lot because they're one and the same. They're both hotheads. He said, you know, my family wasn't happy about me getting engaged because they see our toxicity. So they arrive. Tracy greets them. Y'all know how she like to do. They take the MTV Cribs tour. And she's like, oh, we got a winery in the house. No, ma'am, you sure don't. A winery is where they make the wine. That's a wine cellar. But go off, sis. I'm like, not a winery in the house, child. Ooh, honey. Moving forward. So they go in to sit with Tracy and they tell her how they met and she's telling her how he hopped in the car. Okay. They're both laughing. Sir, you could have lost your life. Okay. Meanwhile, Tracy is looking terrified. She looking like, oh, honey, I'm in for one this time. Not he hopped in her car at the gas station. I don't even speak to people at the gas station. Okay. I fear for my life at the gas station in the daytime and in the nighttime. I don't like to stop for gas because I don't want unwanted attention. It seems like the men hang out at the gas station to prey on women as they come out. And child, oh no, ma'am. She said, but then, you know, he got out of the car or whatever and he came around and his persistence made me like him. See, it ain't no way. So the same night, she asked him to go to the casino with her. And then that same night, they had sex in the parking lot. Okay. I hope these men don't get any ideas, honey, because this ain't all of us. Okay. So please do not get any ideas. This ain't real life. Okay. At all. Jump in my car if you want to. Okay. Ra-ta-ta-ta-ta. I'm just saying. Please do not jump in my car. So, you know, Tracy is just taking it all in, right? They said after that, you know, they just kept vibing. And Tracy asked when they got engaged. She said, you know, on my birthday in 2019, honey, and judging from the way that Tarra behaves, I'm sure she bought her own ring and made sure that she set up the entire proposal and he showed up and got down on one knee because that's just the type of woman that she is. But we're going to get into that as we get into it. So he said, you know, after we got engaged, things got worse. So Tracy said, so what's the issue? Tarra said, well, he lied about having a kid. Now, when the episode was first starting, I was like, not he lied about having a kid. Honey, it would have been over for me at this point. Okay, but we have yet to get into the real issues. So Tarra is here manipulating us. Now, let's continue. So he's like, well, to me, I thought it was a one-night stand and nothing really serious. Honey, I don't care if you thought it was a lemonade stand. Why are you not claiming your child? Like, I don't want to hear that. Okay, it's screaming deadbeat to me. And what does the longevity of anything have to do with you acknowledging you have a child? I was like, what? Not you thought it was a one-night stand. If somebody says to me, do you have a child? Sure, I have one son. I'm not going to say, well, I mean, we might not get it popping after the day. I ain't got no children. It doesn't work like that. That's crazy. He's like, you know, after 4 months, I told her and she was pissed. Tracy said, so would you say that you've ever trusted him? She's like, no. Tracy said, so how could you accept a proposal if you don't trust him? These are the burning questions. But she accepted it because he gave her a ring. She's like, well, you know, I saw a change in him. Girl, please. So Tracy asked if she trusted him now. She said, no. To me, there's nothing lower than a man that lies about his children or doesn't take care of them. If you don't take care of your kids, if you don't acknowledge that you have them, then you and I have nothing to discuss. Moving forward. In 3 years, she's never met his daughter. So Tracy said, how is that possible? He said, well, every time we were supposed to do it, something happens. Child, he probably still messing with that daughter's mama, honey. That's a BS excuse if I ever heard one in my life. So she's rolling her eyes, as she should, in this moment, okay? Because I don't want y'all to get it twisted. Y'all know I'm going to get into it as I get into it. He's over there smiling. And I was thinking, what is so funny about this? Like, what are y'all always smirking for? These two smirk more than a little bit. And if you watch the episode, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So she said, he hid a baby from me, which means he's hiding the baby's mother too. Bingo. And how old is this baby? Is the child 3 or is the child 13 or is the child 23? Like, that would also explain why you're not seeing the child. But then a little later, honey, the person that she is explains why she's never met the child. So he tries to blame her, and she says she gets so furious and she can't control herself. So they start talking at the same time. So Tarra said, we need a pal or someone to tell us when we can talk. Tracy said, yeah, hello, I think I'm the person. Child, they acting like Tracy ain't even there. Do y'all hear me? I was like, oh my God, child. So she's like, y'all need a timeout. I just let it go because I wanted to see how it played out. She said, I feel like I just legit am full of rage. So Tracy said, have you ever hurt him? So she leans back and she looks at him, right? So they both look at each other. We see each other. Shout out to Nene Leaks and Candy Bears. So she's looking like, you bet not say nothing. That's exactly the look that she was giving him. He's like, well, when she gets upset, she kind of elbows me. Nah, honey, y'all be in there fighting. This is before I heard anything. They be in there fighting. The way that she looked at him as to say, I'm not playing. We already made a pact that we were not going to be talking about that. So you bet not say nothing. That's the way she was looking at him. So she's like, and what do you do? Tracy said, that's not the point. I'm asking, how far does it go? Tarra said, well, it's been on both of our ends. She said, the same way that I have rage, he has twice as much rage as me. Listen to me, y'all. I can see that these two like this volatile situation that they are in. I can tell by how nonchalantly they're describing this anger. She's like, oh, well, he get mad too. Child, we just be getting mad. It doesn't work like that. Like, girl, what are you talking about? Tarra said, when we break up, we separate, but then we get back together and then it's all flowers and love and everything's all good. Cycle of abuse. So Tracy is like, yes, that's a cycle. The begging is flowers and love, and then the tension, and then the reconciliation. And she told them that they're going to have to break it off in order for it to be a non-toxic relationship. So Tracy said, okay, so let's talk about who's coming. On her side, it's going to be her stepdad, her brother Jonathan, and her best friend. For him, it's going to be his sister, her husband, and his cousin. So she said, I never tell my family about what's going on with us. So they don't know about how our relationship really is. His family thinks the relationship is toxic and is. But the reason why she's keeping it to herself is because she knows she is the person that's getting it started. Okay, you don't want to look bad. And you don't want them to tell y'all to separate. Shout out to Avant. So Tracy gives them their task, and her task is unpack your baggage. She's going to sit down with his family. They're going to write questions on cards and put them in a suitcase, and she will pull a question and answer it openly. His task is Tower of Truth. Her family will write down questions. He's going to have to pull them out, and each block he has to answer. So basically a truth Jenga. The goal is to build more trust. I don't trust nobody, okay? I don't trust none of it. So I don't know how he's going to build trust, but y'all going to get into it as we get into it. In the next scene, the family start to arrive, but before they do, she's like, I'm about to make a sandwich and I'll make you one too. He said, I'm not hungry. She said, I am hungry. And at home, you eat when I eat. Tarra, if he is not hungry, honey, why would you force him to eat a sandwich? Is he not capable of making his own decisions? See, that's when I knew right there that someone right. I'm like, not he eats when you eat. Girl, please. So his family arrives first, and his family said, they have zero faith in their relationship. His sister said Tarra is very attractive, and when she first met her, they were having adult activities in her sister's house, and she was making all kinds of noises. Oh, Tarra just get it popping any and everywhere. Oh, okay. That's why their relationship is based off of sex. I mean, they got into it the first few hours of knowing each other, and she said their relationship will only work temporarily, and I definitely agree. So her family arrives next. Baby, that brother's face was beat to the gods. Do y'all hear me? Baby had them baby bop lashes on, and baby, that face was beat up. I said, oh, okay, brother. Moving forward. They all go into the meeting area and they voice their concerns. His sister's concern is the power struggle between the two of them. Yes, because she seems to wear the pants. She said the two of them are both alphas and they'll destroy each other and end up in jail. She's also concerned for Tarra individually because she has some things to unpack because she goes from 0 to a raging mental case in seconds. So I guess the sister has already witnessed Tarra going off the deep end. So, I mean, I don't want to jump the gun in case you haven't seen it. Some things should not have surprised her, is all I'm going to say. Anyone that thinks it's endearing for a strange man to jump in their car, you should know something ain't right about him. Like, who thinks that's the right thing to do? Oh, he got in my car and then I invited him to the casino. And then that night when I, lost 20 on black, I went out into the parking lot, got it popping, and then, just carried on with him for a little bit more. He said he didn't have a kid, but that's cool because I'm just going to rage against the machine. And then afterwards, we'll get engaged. Yeah, that makes sense. Moving forward. So her sister's boyfriend said he's concerned about their daughters. His cousin said they're great separately, but together they aren't. They speak to each other like two people off the street, and the fact that she hasn't been introduced to his daughter says a lot. On her side, her best friend Terrell said for him, it's trust. Her brother Jonathan said the two of them basically run at the first sign of trouble, and her stepdad said that Tarra has anger issues that she needs to work on, and he doesn't want her to commit to something that she isn't ready for. Okay, daddy, stepdaddy, or whatever you want to be called. So you know that Tarra has anger issues. Okay, now I understand the silence. Got it. Moving forward. They broke into their groups and Tarra pulls out the first question. They asked what she was willing to do to save her relationship. She's like, I really don't know yet. I mean, we don't always have to fight, but when we do, it's like a demolition. Girl, that's not cute. Even your description of your relationship makes no sense. Do you hear the words that are coming out of your mouth? Are you that detached from reality? That's not a healthy situation or environment to be in, especially if you have a child. You're going to bring your child into this environment. So over on the other side, they're asking why he wants to marry Tarra. He said because he loves her. He said, I feel bad when I'm not with her. I'm always thinking about her. Child, it's manipulation and control, and you're being... Child, let me keep it to myself. His family is saying they bring out the worst in each other. So his cousin JoJo asked if she thought that there would ever be any domestic violence with them. Sure, I'm sure it already has, allegedly. So Tarra said, I'm afraid that if we keep up at this rate, then it will be. Now, I just want y'all to remember this answer and how she's sitting in front of his family with a straight face telling this full-on lie. Let's continue. So they asked him why their communication isn't on point. He said because they don't listen to each other. Sometimes he feels like he did nothing wrong and he's not going to apologize if he doesn't feel like he did anything. It seems like two hotheads that never take responsibility for their actions. Now, this is what I'm getting so far while he's talking to her family. Moving forward. So they asked her, what is the origin of her anger issue? She said, I don't know. His sister said, well, I'm sensing that it stemmed from your childhood and you need to get in touch with little Tarra. His sister said, you're fearless, but I feel like you have to be fearless to protect yourself. Baby, sis is getting the therapy together. Do y'all hear me? Is she a therapist? Baby, they're not going to need Tracy. Because when I tell y'all this sister has read Tarra down, saw straight through her. In the next scene, they sit down to dinner. Tarra tells them that her time with his family was, eye-opening, and she feels like she can't move forward with him until she works on herself because she has a lot of tension built up in her. So she's like, I think we just need to, he said, what, break up? She said, I don't know. He's like, are you trying to work on yourself and not our relationship? Or are you trying to work on just yourself? Sir, how do you think you will maintain a relationship if you are personally in shambles? I'm just curious, honey. That was a selfish question. She's like, well, I don't know at this point. I just don't know. He's like, okay, I'm lost. She said, well, you shouldn't be lost. It is what it is. And I said what I said. And she ain't changing it. So then she says, your family doesn't know what you're capable of, but I do know. So right there, she's setting the scene. Okay, y'all? She's setting the scene. She's like, I deal with you on a daily basis. So the energy is getting all weird, right? So his sister's boyfriend said, y'all need to address this. She's like, we know that we have a lot of stuff on each other, so we just gonna try to protect each other. His sister said, okay, This is not Wonderland and I am not Alice. We can either have a real conversation, because I'm not playing with y'all, okay? Basically, the sister was like, y'all are not about to sit here and play in my face. Y'all brought me here for 3 days to get a blessing on a relationship you know you shouldn't even be in. So just spill it, okay? She ain't say all the rest of it, honey, but I added it because that's how I'm feeling. The sister is sick of these two and she wants Tarra to lay it all out there, right? So she said, for Tarra to have a breakthrough, she needs to be honest. And Tarra said, well, I'm trying to protect my man. No, sis, you are trying to protect yourself as well because your hands aren't clean either. So her boyfriend Red said, I respect that as long as the two of you know that the issues are not going to resolve themselves. So everyone at the table is encouraging them to just put it all out, right? Just say it. Just say it. Just say what it is. Then he says, we get physical. Like physical fitness, let's get physical. Like what kind of physical? He said, the first time that it happened, I got into the car and she punched me and then I walked away. So she admitted she got physical first because that's all she's ever known, which is still no excuse. She said, but sometime after that, he would just hit me for no reason. His sister said, what the? You hit her for no reason? He said, I was being hit and then I just reacted. So his sister feels like he shouldn't even put himself in that position to physically touch a woman and think that it's okay. He said, I don't think that it's okay. So Tarra tries to interject and she said, excuse me, I'm addressing my brother right now. So she's telling him how he's worked hard as a black man and how could you do some mess like this? He said, wait, she took a sword and she stabbed me with it and I had to get stitches. Oh, no, ma'am, honey. This is insane. First of all, why do y'all have swords in the house? That's number one. Okay. What is going on? Are you challenging each other to a duel? Why are y'all using swords? Why are you stabbing a man that you love? And then you went and got stitches. How did you explain how you got stabbed? Because when you go to the hospital or the ER or the urgent care or wherever you're going, they're going to ask, how did this happen? And I bet you he blamed it on something else because they would have arrested Tarra on the spot. And I know that because I'm a victim of domestic violence. And one time I went in with bruised and cracked ribs and they asked me how it happened. And my abuser was sitting across from me. And I made up a complete lie so that he would not go to jail. But the next time that it happened, oh, you best believe, honey, I was waiting on that cop and that police officer to come on in there and arrest him. Do y'all hear me? This is crazy. So the two of you are physically fighting each other, but you came here to get a blessing to get married. This is ridiculous. She said, I did that because you slapped me and I saw blood on my face. Okay. These two need to stay far away from each other. This is beyond toxic. I know we like to use that word. This is toxic. They need therapy. She stabbed him. Okay. It doesn't take but an inch to the left or an inch to the right for you to end in fatality. Like, this is not even toxic. This is like some craziness. I can't even give it a word. I'm trying to find a word, honey. I'm gonna need a thesaurus for this. This is crazy. This is hazardous to their health. You should never be involved with a person that makes you that upset. If somebody can get you from 0 to 7 million real quick, then that's not the person for you. So Red said, we aren't going to fix this here. McCorry said, yes, but that problem that we had, actually, we already fixed that in our relationship. And I was just sitting there and I was wondering, why isn't her stepdad saying anything? As a man, you need to be more vocal. So why isn't he saying anything? Like, this is not okay. She brought you here and you have said nothing. Absolutely nothing. So her brother was crying, which led me to believe that they grew up in a house with abuse. That's what I was getting from that. His sister said, no, that's BS. Honey, it really is. There is no way this is not still happening. So they're fighting and fucking is what I think it is. This is a type of relationship that can cause you to lose your life. Child, you better wake up. He said, I realized the picture that she painted of me. This is what he's saying in his little interview type thing. And, that there was no love there. No, there's not from either side. And you don't love yourself. Okay, because you're putting yourself in this situation. And she is not going to go down like that, honey. She's not going to go down like she's the only abusive or toxic one. She's going to take you down too. It's more common for women to be the victims of physical abuse, but men can be abused as well. Family or Fiance has had a lot of couples that have been enduring physical violence lately. It's getting triggering to watch this show. It really is. It's getting very triggering. Moving forward. He gets up visibly upset and tells her, you need to tell the truth. Child, she needs some help. She's been abusing that man until he finally just snapped. So his sister's boyfriend goes in to offer him a word of advice and tells him, look, you got to step away from that. If she's having you go there, then you just need to step away. So she comes in, but then she walks back out. But then the dinner scene has ended, right? So now it's nighttime and they're in the bed together, and we see on the night cam in their room where she's kissing him all over his chest. And she's like, you know what I want now. Oh, okay. So she uses sex to lure him back in. Baby, she is a scary woman. Do y'all hear me? A black widow in the making. Moving forward. Day 2. The next day, she gets up like nothing happened, honey. Rise and shine. Like, girl, do you not realize the severity of what was just exposed last night at that table? So much so that your own brother was in tears and you waking up, hugging everybody. Hey, what y'all cooking? Bacon? Okay, so we got bacon, eggs, grits. We got some waffles. Girl, no. There's a problem. So he's outside talking to his sister, and she said the same thing, honey, before I could even say it. She's like, why is she acting like nothing is happening? She's acting like that because this is normal for her. Baby, his sister is very wise. She was a great choice to bring because, baby, she giving it to him straight, no chaser. That's the real that he needs. So she's telling him that she's making that crazy mess normal for him and bringing out the worst in him. She said, Tarra has a hold on you that I've never seen, and it's scary that you're stuck in that position and you're not making up your mind to leave it. Now, it's those soul ties. Okay, I just want to say that. It's the soul ties. And he's a victim of abuse. And I just want to say, it takes a while to leave your abuser. Sometimes 8 times before you actually just decide, okay, I'm not doing this no more. With my life, with their life, it's just not worth it. Look, I started fighting mine back. And I still stayed. We would fight. He would love bomb me. He would buy me gifts. He would promise never to do it again. I would wear my makeup to work. I would cover up the shiners and we would be fine. And then it would start all over again. Each and every time. It doesn't make sense, but it's almost like you just cope with it until the next time. Like that is what he's experiencing, in my opinion, just based on what I went through. I'm just giving you, my opinion based on my experience. So she said, y'all have this sexual chemistry and that's what she's using to keep you in check. That's her tool. At this point, they don't need Tracy, honey, this episode. Just go usher his sister on into her seat. So she said, I'm afraid for him. I've seen this story and it doesn't end well. No, it does not. Moving forward. In the next scene, they go to meet Tracy and she's like, hey, you look gorgeous today. Oh my God, girl, you look beautiful. And she's like, so how are you guys doing? She's like, we're doing good, beautiful. How are you, beautiful? Oh, you look gorgeous. Girl, stop. Okay, ladies, stop it. You're trying to charm her and manipulate her into being on your side. See, Tarra is just a manipulator of people. Okay, man, woman, cat, dog. She does this little, oh, you look good, sweetie. Or, oh, hey, beautiful. I know women like Tarra. She's a manipulator. Just cut it, girl. You're not going to be able to charm your way through this one. So she notices the distance. And Tracy said, you guys are a little distant. And Tarra said, oh, well, I don't mean to be. She's like, well, I mean, it is what it is. Baby, Tracy does not like Tarra. I have never really seen her react to a person the way that she reacted to Tarra. I don't know if it was because she could tell that Tarra was trying to play in her face, but she definitely was giving the vibe like, girl, I am not feeling you. Okay. So she asked about their task. She said, I really felt vulnerable. And then all of a sudden, you could see that she was upset, right? So Tracy said, what just happened? Are you okay? She said, I just feel like, we're just putting a Band-Aid on things. Girl, put those weaponizing tears away, okay? So Tracy said, I feel like you have a fear that he's going to leave. Okay, Tracy, normally I'm with you, but nah, not this time, honey. She does not fear that he's going to leave because she knows that she has him in the palm of her hands. He ain't going nowhere. She said, no, he can leave. We've already distanced ourselves, but we always come back. Tracy said, okay, so I just gave you feedback. So you can just take the feedback. She can't just take the feedback because she likes to be in control. So Tracy was like, you came here to come to the light because that's where the healing happens. So you need to just tell the truth. So he looks at her and he said, she's talking about the violence. Yes, she already knew. So all that manipulating through the compliments, honey, it's not hitting on nothing. So Tracy asked about how they got there. She said, when people get in those situations, it comes from somewhere. So Tarra said, well, it came from my childhood. Love turned into anger. Tracy said, well, you need to say how that damaged you. Yes, you need to acknowledge it in order to heal from it. Girl, stop acting like it didn't happen. So she seems to be agreeing, right? She's nodding her head. She's smiling. She said, I want to do different for my daughter so she doesn't go through what I went through as a child. But she already is, sweetheart. She already is. So she asked her if she's in a place where she can, stop doing what she's doing emotionally. Child, not without some help. She needs to work through her own personal ish first before she can even attempt to stop lashing out. He said, well, sometimes you think you can control a situation and you can't, and that's not what I want. I don't want something to happen where I can't be there with my daughter. Well, honey, you better end things quick, because if the cops show up, you're going to jail, okay? Whether you were in the right or the wrong. You're a black man. They are not going to want to hear, I was defending myself. They're going to lock both of you up. I'm just telling you, both of you going down. He's like, we all need to be together if this is how my life is going to be. I hear you. Okay. But the confidence behind the words, it isn't there yet. So Tarra said, I knew that we couldn't be together. Tracy said, but you know what? It's a difference between when you say it's over and when he says it's over. Because when you say it, it's like, okay, it's over for an hour or for whenever I'm ready for you to come back. But when he says it, it holds a lot of weight because that means it's definite. And he said, yeah, I agree. So Tracy starts telling them that they're trauma bonded, and she tells them what it means. So while she's talking, Tarra is looking down at her shoe. She's like, I was just looking at my shoe just to make sure nothing was on it. Tracy said, you kind of want to focus on what is being talked about. Okay, because we're talking about the end of your relationship. Child, she ain't worried about that. She doesn't take him or you seriously. She knows all she has to do is have sex and he'll be back with her. She knows that. It's too easy. So you can talk until you're blue in the face. It's not going to make a difference. Moving forward. She has this little smirk on her face like this is some type of joke. And Tracy said, I don't think y'all are able to handle this. Tarra said, I'm okay with being friends. Tracy goes, no, you need no contact, especially with this level of violence. You have to end it. Child needs to move to different parts of, he needs to live in South America and she needs to live in North America. That's how far apart they need to be if you're stabbing people with swords, okay? She said, Dr. Allie works on people uncoupling, and she's going to work with the two of you so you can understand the next steps. So they end the session, right? And they're in the restroom. And he's telling her he feels like they need to stay apart and seek therapy. And she's like, yeah, I agree. But then she says, I noticed you didn't have your ring on. Ma'am, he doesn't need it on, and neither do you. So he explains why he took it off. But he's like, I have it back on now. Oh, child, this is sad to watch. He has started to shrink when talking to her. He has some very dominant women around him. His sister is very dominant. Tarra is very dominant. And he's almost like a little kid. He has to be coached. That was super sad, child. In the next scene, both the families meet with Dr. Allie. She's so pretty. Hey, girl, come on in and sit down and therapize them and whatnot. So she tells them that she spoke to Tracy, and she asks where it all started. So Tarra explains as a child and her stepdad still being quiet, okay? She explained that she had abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, and that abuse has been brought into the relationship. He said, I just feel sad because I know better. She said, well, Tracy thinks that the two of you need to be in treatment and separate. He said, we both feel like it's impossible to do. And I just want to say this. I know to a lot of people, it's like, no, it's not impossible. Just leave them alone. It is hard when it's all you've known. The thought process of an abused person is very complex. It makes absolutely no sense to everybody else why you would want to be with someone who would hurt you. But it's like you almost look at the hurt as love. It sounds sick and twisted. Trust me, I know. But it's not as cut and dry as people want to make it seem. So I understood him in that moment. So Dr. Allie said, it's like you guys have a force field and the two of you are being sucked in. He said, we both said we were going to see a specialist. His sister said, look, I'm not buying that, honey, at all. It's BS. She's like, y'all not going to do nothing. That's just you backing your ish because that's your norm and you're lying to yourself. Baby, I don't need a sister like that, honey. Sister going to pipe up and speak her speech if she don't do nothing else. So her best friend was looking like, child, heard it all before, but your lies ain't working now. Shout out to Sunshine Anderson. Baby, they ain't gonna do nothing. So McCorry said something, but I wasn't listening. But his sister said, you don't have control over this, McCorry. Basically, you ain't running nothing. She said, Tarra will be able to say, babe, and then you're just gonna melt. So while she's saying that, she was over there eating it up, just smiling. She said, your superpower is toxic and you're her supply. Baby sister said, Dr. Allie, who? Honey, Dr. Allie, she had her sitting back. Like, And then what else is going on? She said, he can't do it on his own. He thinks he can, but he cannot. So Dr. Allie asked if they could let go. And she said, I can, but I don't want to let him go. He's my confidant. He's my shield. Well, child, he needed a shield when you were stabbing him with that sword. Girl, goodbye. Moving forward. So Red, who is the sister's boyfriend, he said, so what happens if they don't do anything? Dr. Allie explains that it's going to escalate, and people classically identify abuse as something that happens from men to women. But it's actually a 50-50 thing. Women can be just as violent and use things as weapons. So it's not even just a responsibility to themselves. It's a responsibility to their children to get out of this. They need to think about the kids they have. It's no way that these two should be together, let alone considering a marriage. Moving forward. She said therapists will not typically see a couple that is in active conflict. So his cousin said, well, she said she didn't want to do it. He said, well, I'm going to do it no matter if she wants to do it or not. So then they give their rings to their families. Trying to not be sticking to this. Do y'all hear me? She said, okay, well, one of y'all needs to get up and leave. He said, I'll go. So he gets in the car and he starts saying whatever he thinks sounds good. And I just want to say that this is not over. Sadly, it was a good first step that he took, but I know that it's not over. And that was the end of the episode. But the update reads, he says he's in therapy and hasn't spoken with Tarra since returning home. But according to family members, they are still together. And I am not shocked that he lied about that update to protect Tarra. Child, this is sad. I don't know exactly what's going to happen between the two of them, but all I know is this has toxicity written all over it. And it's truly sad. Y'all comment down below and tell me exactly what you thought about this episode if you watched it. And if you or someone you know is in a situation and they are being abused, please get help somewhere. Talk to somebody. I will see y'all on the flip side. And as always, stay safe, stay blessed, spread love, not germs. Peace.